Hello again and welcome back to day 16 of the Chronological Bible in a Year reading plan. We finished Job the other day and we're hopping back into Genesis. We're going to be reading Genesis 12, 13, 14, and 15 today. Without further ado, Genesis 12. Yahuwah said to Abram, "Go yourself out of your land, from your relatives and from your father's house, to a land which I show you, and I shall make you a great nation, and Barak bless you and make your name great, and you shall be a barakat." Is that a blessing? Mm-hmm. A blessing. "And I shall barak those who barak you, and curse him who curses you. And in you all the clans of the earth shall be Baruch." Is that blessed? I believe that's blessed.
Yes.
Okay. So Abram left, as Yahuwah had commanded him, and Lot went with him. And Abram was 75 years old when he departed from Haran. And Abram took Sarai his wife, and Lot his brother's son, and all their possessions that they had gathered, and the beings whom they had acquired in Haran, and they departed for the land of Canaan. And they came to the land of Canaan. And Abram passed through the land to the place of Shechem, as far as the terebinth tree of Moreh. At that time the Canaanites were in the land. And Yahuwah appeared to Abram and said, "To your seed I give this land." And he built there an altar to Yahuwah who had appeared to him. And from there he moved to the mountain east of Bethel. And he pitched his tent with Bethel on the west and Ai on the east. And he built there an altar to Yahuwah, and called on the name of Yahuwah. And Abram departed, continuing toward the Negeb. And a scarcity of food came to be in the land, and Abram went down to Mitzrayim, Egypt, to dwell there, for the scarcity of food was severe in the land. And it came to be, when he was close to entering Mitzrayim, that he said to Sarai his wife, "See, I know that you are a lovely woman to look at. And it shall be, when the Mizrites see you, that they shall say, 'This is his wife,' and they shall kill me, but let you live. Please say, 'You are my sister,' so that it shall be well with me for your sake, and my life be spared because of you." And it came to be, when Abram came into Mitzrayim, that the Mizrites saw the woman, and she was very lovely. The Pharaoh's official saw her, and praised her before Pharaoh, and the woman was taken to Pharaoh's house. And he treated Abram well for her sake, and he had sheep, cattle, and male donkeys, male and female servants, and female donkeys and camels. But Yahuwah plagued Pharaoh and his house with great plagues because of Sarai, Abram's wife. And Pharaoh called Abram and said, "What is this you have done to me? Why did you not inform me that she was your wife? Why did you say, 'She is my sister'? And so I was going to take her for my wife. Look, here is your wife, take her and go." And Pharaoh commanded his men concerning him, and they sent him away with his wife and all that he had. Chapter 13. And Abram went up from Mitzrayim into the Negeb, he and his wife and all that he had, and Lot with him. And Abram was very rich in livestock, in silver and in gold. And he went on his journey from the Negeb as far as Bethel, to the place where his tent had been at the beginning, between Bethel and Ai, to the place of the altar which he had made there at first. And there Abram called on the name of Yahuwah. Now Lot, who went with Abram, also had flocks and herds and tents. And the land was not able to bear them, that they might dwell together, for their possessions were great, so that they could not dwell together. And there was strife between the herdsmen of Abram's livestock and the herdsmen of Lot's livestock. And at that time the Canaanites and the Perizzites dwelt in the land. Then Abram said to Lot, "Please let there be no strife between you and me, and between my herdsmen and your herdsmen, for we are brothers. Is not all the land before you? Please separate from me. If you take the left, then I go to the right, or if you go to the right, then I go to the left." And Lot lifted his eyes and saw all the plain of the Yarden, that it was well watered everywhere, before Yahuwah destroyed Sodom and Gomorrah, like the garden of Yahuwah, like the land of Mitzrayim, as you go toward Zoar. So Lot chose for himself all the plain of the Jordan, and Lot moved east. Thus they separated from each other. Abram dwelling in the land of Canaan, and Lot dwelling in the cities of the plain, and pitched his tent as far as Sodom. But the men of Sodom were evil and sinned before Yahuwah exceedingly so. And after Lot had separated from him, Yahuwah said to Abram, Now lift up your eyes and look from the place where you are, northward and southward, eastward and westward. For all the land which you see I shall give to you and your seed forever. And I shall make your seed as the dust of the earth, so that, if a man could count the dust of the earth, then your seed also could be counted. Arise, walk in the land through its length and its width, for I give it to you. So Abram moved his tent, and went and dwelt by the terebinth trees of Mamre, which are in Hebron, and built an altar there to Yahuwah. Chapter 14. And it came to be in the days of Amraphel, sovereign of Shinar, Arioch, sovereign of Elasar, Kedor Laomer, sovereign of Elam, and Tidal, sovereign of Goyim. And they fought against Bera, sovereign of Sodom, Bersha, sovereign of Amorah, Shinab, sovereign of Admah, Shim-Eber, sovereign of Seboim, and the sovereign of Bela, that is Zoar. All these joined together in the valley of Siddim, that is the Salt Sea. 12 years they served Kedar Laomer, and in the 13th year they rebelled. In the 14th year, Kedar Laomer and the sovereigns that were with him came and smote the Rephaim and Ashtaroth Karnaim, and the Zuzim and Ham, and the Amites and Shawa Kiriathaim, and the Horites in their mountain of Seir, as far as El Paran, which is by the wilderness. And they turned back and came to Ain Mishpat, that is Kadesh, and smote all the country of the Amalekites, and also the Amorites who dwelt in Hatzazon Tamar. I already know these words and places in English are tough, and reading them in Hebrew is, we're going to get through it. And the sovereign of Sodom, and the sovereign of Amorah, and the sovereign of Admah, and the sovereign of Seboim, and the sovereign of Bela, that is Zoar, went out and joined together in battle in the valley of Siddim, against Kedar Laomer, sovereign of Elam, and Tidal, sovereign of Goyim, and Amraphel, sovereign of Shinar, and Arioch, sovereign of Elasar, 4 sovereigns against 5. And the valley of Siddim had many tar pits, and the sovereigns of Sodom and Amorah fled and fell there, and the remainder fled to the mountains. And they took all the goods of Sodom and Amorah, and all their food, and went away. And they took Lot, Abram's brother's son, who dwelt in Sodom, and his goods, and left. And one who had escaped came and informed Abram the Hebrew, for he dwelt by the terebinth trees of Mamre the Amorite, brother of Eshcol and brother of Aner. And they had a covenant with Abram. And when Abram heard that his brother was taken captive, he armed his 318 trained servants who were born in his own house, and went in pursuit as far as Dan. And he and his servants divided against them by night, and smote them, and pursued them as far as Hobah, which is on the left of Damascus. So he brought back all the goods, and also brought back his brother Lot and his goods, as well as the women and the people. And after his return from the defeat of Kedar Laomer and the sovereigns who were with him, the sovereign of Sodom came out to meet him at the valley of Shaweh, that is the sovereign's valley. And Melchizedek, sovereign of Shalem, brought out bread and wine. Now he was the Cohen priest of the Most High El. And he barak him, and said, Baruch be Abram of the Most High El, possessor of the Shamayim and earth. And Baruch be the Most High El, who has delivered your enemies into your hand. And he gave him 1/10 of all. And the sovereign of Sodom said to Abram, Give me the people, and take the goods for yourself. But Abram said to the sovereign of Sodom, I have lifted my hand to Yahuwah, the Most High El, the possessor of the Shamayim and earth, not to take a thread or a sandal strap or whatever is yours, lest you should say, I have made Abram rich, except only what the young men have eaten, and the portion of the men who went with me, Aner, Eshcol, and Mamre. Let them take their portion. Chapter 15. After these events, the word of Yahuwah came to Abram in a vision, saying, Do not be afraid, Abram. I am your shield. Your reward is exceedingly great. And Abram said, Adonai Yahuwah, what would you give me, seeing I go childless, and the heir of my house is Eliezer of Damascus? Is that Damascus?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I thought so. And Abram said, See, you have given me no seed, and see, one born in my house is my heir. And see, the word of Yahuwah came to him, saying, This one is not your heir, but he who comes from your own body is your heir. And he brought him outside and said, Look now toward the Shamayim, and count the stars if you are able to count them. And he said to him, So are your seed. And he believed in Yahuwah, and he reckoned it to him for righteousness. And he said to him, I am Yahuwah, who brought you out of Ur-Kasdim to give you this land to inherit it. And he said, Adonai Yahuwah, whereby do I know that I possess it? And he said to him, Bring me a 3-year-old heifer, and a 3-year-old female goat, and a 3-year-old ram, and a turtle dove, and a young pigeon. And he took all these to him, and cut them in the middle, and placed each half opposite the other, but he did not cut the birds. And the birds of prey came down on the carcasses, and Abram drove them away. And it came to be, when the sun was going down, and a deep sleep fell upon Abram, that see, a frightening great darkness fell upon him. And he said to Abram, Know for certain that your seed are to be sojourners in a land that is not theirs, and shall serve them, and they shall afflict them 400 years. But the nation whom they serve I am going to judge, and afterward let them come out with great possessions. Now as for you, you are to go to your fathers in peace. You are to be buried at a good old age. Then in the 4th generation they shall return here, for the wickedness of the Amorites is not yet complete. And it came to be, when the sun went down and it was dark, that see, a smoking oven and a burning torch passing between those pieces. On the same day Yahuwah made a covenant with Abram, saying, I have given this land to your seed, from the river of Mitzrayim to the great river, the river Perath, with the Canaanite, and the Kenizzite, and the Cadmonite, and the Hittite, and the Perizzite, and the Rephaim, and the Amorite, and the Canaanite, and the Girgashite, and the Jebusite. And that concludes chapter 15. Again, a lot of these Hebrew words, a little tough to pronounce, but we're doing it. We're getting through it. I'm loving it, enjoying it. Hope you are too. Be blessed and see you next time.